Yeah, we call the meeting to order at 7:30. Roll call, William Johnston.
Yeah.
Thomas Graffinino.
Here.
Lisa Kreckler.
Here.
And Phil DeOrio is here. Lynn Colligan is excused. We don't have present Tim Hoag. Is he, Tim.
He just on Zoom, he just dropped probably, but yeah. Have to
Okay,
rejoin by phone. Okay, he will rejoin by phone.
okay. All right, the first order of business is to review and approve the March 26, 2025 minutes. Can I have a motion to
I'll
approve?
make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have
No present.
We have two applications on our work session agenda. The first one is for 12 South Ferry Road. Just to give everybody a quick review of that, this is an application by the town, and they would like to get a special permit that will allow construction of a two-story dwelling, a two-family dwelling. And according to, in the code, there's nothing specific about the number of two-family dwellings you could have on a lot. This lot is oversized for the area. It's 4 acres. And so that's basically the gist of it, that this is not about anything else other than whether or not to grant a special permit to allow two-family house. I'm going to open it up to the floor here.
I mean, overall, it's in a C residential zone. And they also presented that Havens right next door is B zone, I believe.
Mhm.
And it's going to be used for residential. There was some concern from nearby neighbors that are on smaller half-acre lots. They were concerned about some saltwater intrusion because the neighbors will be drawing more water from the area. And they're also, the neighbors brought up that currently they believe there was no two-story houses in the neighborhood.
There are no two-story houses. Maybe there are down on Shady Lane, but certainly across the street there are two-story houses. I do think that the lot size will accommodate this. Someone could go and, a private person that had a 4-acre lot in C zone could divide it into 3 separate parcels, sell them off individually, and each person then could come and apply for a special permit to have a two-family house, which is permitted in C zone. I mean, really in any zone with a special permit. Their town has identified a need for some affordable rental housing, and the town owns the property. And I don't know that another opportunity like this will come along for the town. So
I think it was also thoughtful, I know this is a preliminary site plan, but it's thoughtful that they recognize that there is a fresh pond on the site, and they were able to work within that and bear that in mind.
right, and it appears that they are planning to leave a parking area for the Sheltron History Museum to have parking for their farmers market. Have a new IA system in the ground there, and
Plenty of parking for the units
yeah,
and the buffer streetwise, right?
yeah.
I just think the location of where they place it, and the presentation that they did was excellent.
My only concern is shallow water table to the fresh water. The water table has been rising because of the global warming. And that's part of that, when we had that bad couple times flooded, where the roads flooded down there, people couldn't get to the houses.
On Shady Lane, you mean?
Yeah, and stuff, even down there where Tommy Cronin lives, all in there.
Oh,
They
you
couldn't-
mean,
Yeah, the whole area,
yeah, yeah.
Cartwright Road, you
Yeah.
know. The water table's coming up because both ferry company now is raising their ramps up. Because the tide is coming up, the water table's coming up, and it's not going down. And I think this, they say they only got they got 3 feet above the water table existing now. It's been coming up.
Yeah.
I know it's come up in my yard since I've been in my house at 39 years. And I don't think, I think they could probably find a better piece somewhere. That's my concern
You know, I think,
as a member.
I get that. For me, I think that's an issue for the town to deal with, for the Board of Health to deal with. I don't think that that's, you know, our issue here. You know, the Board of Health, I'm assuming, will only allow a well that makes sense in that area. So for me, you know, we generally don't get involved with those types of issues. I understand your
Yeah.
concerns, but it's generally not
Right.
an issue that we get involved
I
in.
know, but I'm just saying, as
I-
a work session,
I get it.
way I feel.
Yeah.
That I think the town should try to find a little bit better suitable area to put this affordable housing in. I don't have no trouble with the affordable housing, but that area, I don't, I can't vote yes. I'll be honest with you.
Does anybody else have any other input on this? I mean, I think it's a net positive for the town. If, you know, ultimately, if we want to have a community, we have to provide housing. If we want to have a year-round community,
And they already. they already own
I
it.
don't disagree on that.
yeah.
I don't disagree on that.
And I do think whatever, any environmental issues, I think have to be dealt with at the town board level and also at the Board of Health. And I suspect that they will find a way to make this work. Are we ready to go to the worksheet, or we want to discuss this a little bit more? Tim, is there anything that you think we're missing here?
No, I think just the scope of what before you is narrow, which is the special permit question. Not, you know, the broader policy decisions or the specific technical issues regarding environmental review that will get addressed elsewhere.
All right. Anyone else? No? All right, let's work on our worksheet here. In terms of general suitability, is proposed use the most appropriate use of this land? I mean, it is, I think, a residential parcel that will have residences on it, so I would say yes.
I think I had a note that it's a partial business zone. There's
Right at the-
100 feet that's,
right at-
yeah, right at the,
the
yeah,
front,
front,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's business, that section.
So I would agree, yes, it's an appropriate use.
Will the use be detrimental to surrounding property values? I mean, it's right, you know, over the last years, it's been a highway barn. It's been generator storage for giant generators. It's an impound yard for the police department. I can't see this use being detrimental when compared to the most recent uses of the property.
I mean, the only way I would argue that it could be detrimental is because of the water table, but if that's not, if Tim Hill is suggesting that's not within our purview, because if there's no water, then the nearby properties it's going to be detrimental to them if all of a
Right,
sudden there's no
but
water.
that's, you know, we haven't actually been presented with any kind of scientific evidence that there's any real problem there.
Mhm.
So is it all right with all of you if we say that it's a no to the detrimental.
I think would be more of an enhancement to that spot. So, yes, no is,
Okay. You all right with that, Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. You all right with that, Punch?
Uh,
You don't love it.
I'm, just go on what you guys say.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do something now.
Will the use cause an overcrowding of land?
Phil, can I just ask? Lynn's not here. Is anybody taking it?
Um,
Okay, thanks.
Just-
I need to be informed of.
send for the minutes.
It will be in a minute.
Yeah,
Okay, will the use cause an overcrowding of land or undue concentration of population?
no,
Won't cause an overcrowding. It's a big lot size, and what they're proposing does not cause an overcrowding or undue concentration.
Is the site suitable for the location of such use in the town? I personally think it is. I know Punch, you think it is not. Does anyone else have some input here?
I think it's as suitable as in regard to the options that we have. The town already owns it,
Yeah.
and there's residents around it. It's going to be used for residential use.
Is the proposal harmonious with the character of the existing and probable development of uses in the vicinity? I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
Small homes. Is a proposed use accessible for fire and other emergency apparatus? Based on the site plan, I would say yes.
They have a thought-out driveway and access point.
Is proposed use unreasonably near a church, school, theater, recreation area, or other place of public assembly?
It is close to the Historical
But
Society.
I don't think it's unreasonably close.
Agreed.
Will the proposed use interfere with established uses in the neighborhood? Same use, right? The driveways and sidewalks adequate to ensure public safety and avoid traffic congestion?
Yes.
Are there adequate facilities for the treatment, removal, or discharge of sewage, refuse, or other effluent from this use? I think they're going to put in a brand new IA system.
Yeah, pretty big hub.
Will the proposed use cause odors, dust, light, or noise? And if so, how can the impact be minimized? They know it's going to be residential. The new homes will be dark skies compliant. Will the proposed use impact the aquifer and other important natural resources? And if so, how can they be protected? I mean, they're going to draw on the aquifer.
Mhm.
But I do think that, in the end, the Board of Health is going to require something that is going to minimize that impact.
They also discussed diverting all the runoff away from the driveway based on its location and to use native plants within
Yeah.
the 75 to 100-foot
Yep.
buffer.
And I think that's a positive.
Yep.
but yes,
It's a lot big enough for the proposed use and it's reasonable anticipated operation expansion.
Yes.
yes,
Is there enough off-street parking for employees or visitors, and is parking laid out in a convenient and safe way? According to the site plan, it sure is. What buffers and screening are necessary to protect the adjacent properties? I think what they have proposed doing makes sense. Is there anything else that I think that we need in terms of screening?
It's hard to say because this isn't the final.
That's right.
It's not the final site plan, so it's kind of hard for us to,
Right. I don't know how we weigh in on that.
yeah.
Tim, can I ask you how we weigh in on something where we don't really know, the site plan may be a little bit different than what we've seen here?
Yeah, I think that, you're not in a position to impose, conditions or require something like that. So in the absence of, what's, the
Okay.
plan being more advanced, I don't think, you may just not be in a position to answer that particular factor.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so I think we have enough for this one. And so conditions or anything. As far, I think the rest of it has to be hashed out as part of the process. And that process is not going to take place in this committee. All right, so next up we have,
Pantheon,
what's that?
Pantheon.
Yeah, we have 1 Pandion Road, Greenwald. It's an application to exceed the 6,000 square foot living area that is the maximum allowed in our zoning code now. Just a quick rehash, the gentleman, the applicant stated that when they were digging the hole for their foundation, they wound up hitting water. They were not able to dig as far as they wanted to go. And so what they thought they were going to get finished square footage in the basement, they were not able to do that. And they built a barn, and now they are looking to sort of recoup their lost square footage in this barn by turning it into conditioned living space. And I'll open up the floor here to discussion. Nobody wants to speak?
I mean, this one I could see both ways. The structure is there. They're not adding any square footage. I don't like the fact that they built it and then are now asking for it to be conditioned living space. If it does go through, I would want it to have a condition that it can never be used for sleeping quarters.
Yeah, no kitchen, no bedrooms or anything like that.
They had applied to the town board for a permit to exceed the 6,000 square feet, and then the moratorium was enacted, and then the process was changed so that these applications now come here. Thank you all. And if his application had been heard by the town board, my guess is that it would have been approved, because previously every single application for over 6,000 square feet had been approved. There was always some horse trading and that kind of thing, but and mitigation required. The next door, they have a much bigger house. And, I feel in some ways uncomfortable, but I also feel like in some ways, like you said, Lisa, the building's there.
It's there, and what are the options? If we deny this flat out, the building would have to change drastically. You'd have to let the thing breathe, let the office and everything. You would have to go back and revamp all of that, correct?
They built it knowing that, though.
Yes.
But originally wasn't planning on using it for that reason, you know? I just think, you know, is it gonna be another structure that just falls down on the island, you know, that becomes rotten? And I agree with you as far as the living space, as far as the sleeping, but, you know,
For me also, the other, I guess, positive of this application is that it's an oversized lot.
Mhm.
And, you know,
It's 3.3 acres.
right, and, you know, right now, based on our code, if someone had a half acre lot in C zone, they could build a house that was 5,999 square feet. And, yeah, I don't know if anything, you know, will ever change in terms of what is allowed on smaller lots. But when you think of that, this seems relatively innocuous, I would say. Just, you know, if,
The only thing I agree with the no living quarters, no kitchen, stuff like that. If they didn't finish it to what they want, if it was left as a bond, I think it would go rack and ruin in probably 8 years, 10 years. But if, well, they're gonna have it as a gym, pool house, exercise room, it'll be kept up better. Just sitting there as a bond, I think it'll go be an eyesore eventually.
yeah,
I think it's the least of the two evils.
yeah, that's,
I'm not, you know, like you said, this, things got mixed up. But I think what the plan they got be better than sitting there as a bond.
the, you know, the argument, of course, against the barn rotting away and falling down is what Mr. Kriegel suggested, and that was buy a couple of dehumidifiers at PC Richards. Maybe he didn't suggest PC Richards, but buy a couple of dehumidifiers and throw them in there, and you could keep the place dry.
Well, you know, people,
Yeah,
when they go away after the summer, they'll be unplugged. And you still have hot weather
yep,
after Labor Day.
yep. So let me ask you, is there a consensus here that we want to approve this?
Like Lisa said, you could go either way. I think the best way is to grant it. I think it'll be the best thing to do. It's not, maybe, you know, one way or the other. I think it'll be better, it'll be kept up better. It won't become an eyesore.
I mean, this one too, it, like you said, it got stuck in the process.
Right.
exactly.
And we
Yeah.
never really saw the full picture of it, because it's,
Right.
Exactly, he explained the way, I agree with Punch.
yeah. I just don't want to get stuck in these situations where people build buildings, decide to build it, not condition, and then come back later and say, oops, we forgot that it's humid on Shelter Island. We need to condition it now. I just don't want that to
So-
start being common
Well, you
practice.
take every place in a different way. And this, where you couldn't get a full basement in.
You know,
He built this for storage, but end up, he realized that not the thing to do.
If I may,
yes, Mr. Hill.
I think just because there's, the comments earlier, just to clarify, if you were inclined to approve this, I don't think, you wouldn't be setting a precedent that, things that are built that are then difficult to undo, becomes a basis for granting something. But rather, the circumstances here that got them to this place are somewhat unique, and that's what you would be recognizing by a grant here, not simply the fact that, it became, it's a hard problem to undo, and that, is a good reason to get relief. I think, that if this were to be approved, it would be in recognition of the unique kind of circumstances that got them to this point.
Thank you, Tim. I have no doubt that in the future, we will see folks build a house, have an unfinished basement, and want to come back to get that basement finished. I would be less sympathetic to someone who starts that process now as opposed to somebody who started it before
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
before the code was changed and
Right,
Yeah.
and these things came to us.
And they are not asking for an increase in
size,
size or square footage, changing what's existing.
what they got.
And they did not finish it off and condition it and then come back, after their hands were caught in the cookie jar.
Right,
So,
I think, for this one, I would lean toward granting it with the conditions that it is never used for sleeping or cooking.
I agree.
Which that original drawing didn't show areas for sleeping, right? There's no bedrooms.
No, and like Lisa said, he didn't finish it, then come to us. He,
yeah,
But their
You try to pull
their
fast.
argument for not realizing that it's humid on Shelter Island and that it's gonna weather is very weak. I'm just saying.
no, I agree. That part of it is,
a little shaky.
Yeah.
no, look, I think that the intention, once the basement was unavailable, the intention, I think, was always to apply for first the permit from the town board when that was the
Correct.
situation. And then whatever, then it got caught up with the moratorium.
Right,
And so, whatever, if everybody's inclined to grant this, I'll go along for this and with the caveat, as Tim said, that this is a unique circumstance. And we have to consider each and every application that comes to us in the future as its own unique circumstance, because that's the way it has to be done, I think.
agree.
All right, are we ready to go? Yes?
Yeah.
All right. This is the area variance findings and decision. All right, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties.
No, they're not expanding the
No.
square footage.
And, yeah.
The footprint is not expanding.
Whether benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by feasible alternatives to the variance. I can't see of another way that doesn't require them to come here before this board if they're looking for some.
No, right.
Whether the requested variance is substantial.
Yes,
I would say yes.
Yes. I think if you need numbers, I think it was 984 square foot variance.
984,
983.
83.
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? I say no.
No,
And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created?
yes.
I say yes. All right, so then we should think about what conditions we want. Never use sleeping quarters?
Yeah,
And no cooking space.
Anybody else have any other thoughts of a condition? Tim, are there any other things that you think that we should include here?
I don't think so. Is there, are you concerned at all about having plumbing or bathroom facilities, or is
No.
just sleeping quarters?
Yeah, just sleeping quarters. I don't want it to turn into an accessory apartment.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think that would be it then.
Further subdivision.
What's that?
Further subdivision.
Further subdivision? Oh, because you could actually split the lot, right? So that they could
There
not.
might be already a condition of on the subdivision, we don't know. We could check.
Right, but Tim, what do you think of that because one of the reasons that, this is getting a positive nod for us is the lot size. I don't know if there are any conditions in the subdivision that prevent people from further subdividing those lots. So should we put something in our resolution about that? He's very
You could
thoughtful.
do that. That is a more significant, property right that if I recall the applicant, making different overtures, that might be something that's better if it's volunteered rather than imposed. But it certainly could be included.
I think we should.
I think we should.
Yeah, I think we should, no further subdivision of the lot, no subdivision of the lot allowed. I would hate for them to come back, at some point and say, hey,
Yep.
I've got, enough here to have 2 legal lots or 3 legal lots. Right, anybody else have any other suggestions? No? All right, can I get a motion to
Adjourn?
close the work session?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then can I have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,